Welcome back. You're watching Markets at noon on ET Now. Let's welcome in Mohan Joshi, the head of corporate strategy with steel strip wheels. There's record level of tractor sales. Agri buying is in full swing. Double-digit growth as well may be seen in tractor sales. All of this amidst the entire excitement around the rural economy recovering. So what would it mean for steel strip wheels? Let's understand from Mr. Joshi. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today on ET Now. Have you been seeing an increase in demand, a resurgence in demand from the agri side of industries? For example, like I was mentioning, tractors.
Thanks a lot for having me. As you rightly said, it was a pleasant surprise in the month of June itself that we are running tractor segment at almost 100% utilization. And the trend which is being visible to us from the OE side is that this trend is going to continue for next 4 months. And there's a lot of farm income which has come in as an advance by the government because they preponed the purchases of the crop, and the record sowing is showing its indication that the farm side of the demand, whether it's a smaller car, whether it's a pickup kind of a segment, whether it's a two-wheeler kind of a segment, or definitely the tractor side, is showing very, very good demand coming from this segment.
Right. What do you make of this rural recovery, this tractor recovery? What is it essentially telling you? Will rural demand be better than urban for some time to come now?
I think the good point that the recent GDP data came in was that the agri demand is, from the perspective of their contribution to the GDP, is improving. And with the government clear focus that the poor and the farm segment has to be kept on priority, will show its results. What I feel is that the recent increase of the MSP increase, as well as the fast procurement by the recent state governments, is going to give enough cash to the people of rural side to spend that. And at the same time, when this MSP goes up, the intent to sow more with a normalized monsoon will show its results towards the coming festive season. So what I feel is that the segments which I recently mentioned is that the smaller car segments up to 5 lakhs and below, the pickups, the two-wheelers, whether it's a bike, whether it's a cycle, whether it's a scooter, as well as the tractor segment is going to see a lot of traction coming in from the month of July. And as I said, in a company like SSWL, we will try to move up close to 40% higher than the last month, which is the month of June, in terms of the absolute amount of volumes. So you can see that this is completely driven by the rural side. And I think that the urban side is going to lag a little bit because of the obvious reason of little fear psychosis, which is ebbing a little bit. And I think over next 1.5 months, the urban demand will start to capture what it was to the tune of 50 to 60%.
All right. Okay, that's good to know. Anything that you're witnessing in terms of, pricing of products, like you're mentioning, demand you seem to be pretty comfortable on the demand front. But yeah, I just want to understand from a margin perspective, how do you see things shaping up over there? Have you faced challenges on raw material procurement, among other things?
I think on the raw material side, because we are completely dependent on the local sources, there is no shortage right now. The obvious shortage which I foresee going forward is the manpower, which obviously the plants and the administration is working on because of the kind of migration that we have seen in various states from, in this fear kind of psychosis. The good news which is coming out to counter this is that people are willing to turn back from a state like UP or a Bihar or a Jharkhand or a West Bengal to find their job back in that state where they left it from. So from the perspective of, cost side, I think the costs are going to be better as compared to the Q1. In our case, the blended margins are going to be moving up a little bit because of the factor that alloy wheel is going to be starting up. And the raw material side, there is no, shortage or any kind of disturbance which is coming in from the manufacturing point of view.
I must ask you on this clarification. I must ask you for a clarification on something that hit the agencies earlier today, and that was with respect to steel strips looking to induct a strategic or a financial investor in a bid to lower your long-term debt. So, Mr. Joshi, since we have you with us, if you could clarify on this, are you looking for any sort of strategic financial investor? If you have any plans for debt curtailment?
So, as a regular practice, the company is in touch with various strategic as well as financial investors, wherein the board has recently approved for finding such proposals to sort of streamline the strength which is in terms of the leadership that we have. And within that gambit, I think whatever suitable proposal which comes in as a JV or a strategic tie-up for extending the arm of business, we will try to take it up.
Great. Thanks so much, Mr. Joshi, for joining us today. We wish you all the very best. And yes, I hope you and your team at Steel Strips are keeping safe and healthy amidst this pandemic. On that note, we are out of time, so we'll have to call it a day on this edition of Markets at Noon. Thanks very much for watching.